Um, Everybody, can you all hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Great. Nice to see some familiar names and faces here. So obviously you guys have probably finished your tests by now, so interview time. Um, Today, what I'm going to run through is basically the prep that you should be doing. So I'm going to cover the different areas, how to prep for it, what you should be doing. Because obviously, everyone talks about the interviews being like this big, scary thing, and you're supposed to, you get general advice like, talk clearly, like look at the camera, all of this kind of stuff. Not particularly specific, not very useful to you guys, I think. So I've been quite like formulaic about it. This is a test just like any other. The more preparation you do, the better you will do in this. The reason that there's a skew towards there being like, a ton of, let's say, kids who get a little bit more help versus not, that's nothing to the intelligence. It all comes down to practice. So just that's to start with. We're just going to run through those different areas. We're obviously going to have more workshops to just like do strategy, and there'll be subject specific things coming up and things like that. But today I'm just going to basically take you through it. We also have mock interviews for each of you but that will be later on. That will be like once you get your offers. I think in previous years it's been fairly obvious who's going to get the final offer based on those mock interviews. So the reason I want to get started a little bit ahead of time this time is so that you guys have more time to prep and get to that level, because in the past couple of years there's been times where I've kind of looked at somebody and I've just said, oh, if you had 2 more weeks. So basically now is the time to start. I'm just going to share my screen with you because I've made a little presentation. So if you can like click on what I just shared, that should open up the thing. So I'm going to start with what I've prepared, and then obviously like we'll go through like whatever questions you guys have at the end. But if you've got anything you want to ask like whilst I'm just going through this, obviously feel free to speak up or leave a message in the chat, and I think Bo or someone will be watching it and he'll tell me. So let's just get started. So first off, any questions before we start?
It's not a question, it's just I'm just raising something on the help center thing. When it was something about make a interview consultation thing, and it said to go on a general inquiries thing. It's not a question, I'm just letting you know that it says whenever I try to do that, like whether it be on Wi-Fi or data, it says something like this interaction has an error, like it's failing. Just letting you know.
Yeah, okay. Bo, if you heard that, actually, could you look into that a little bit and make sure that's fixed for everybody, please? Yeah, okay, cool. So we'll address all of that kind of stuff and make sure it's fixed for you so it works. Thanks for raising that though, Emily. Any other questions before we get started, or can I start taking us through it? Okay, cool. So there will obviously be time at the end anyway. Okay, so quick key before we start. So with each of these different sections, I am going to basically suggest to you stuff that you like have to do yourself. Basically, you have to go do the research or the revision or whatever it is. There's going to be some stuff which like we're going to have available for you so you can check it out and then do a little bit of work yourself. And then there's some stuff which just like use the site, just shortcut where you can. And then there's also 3 different things I want you to think about. There'll be some types of questions where I expect you to just script the answer. So that sounds like, obviously in an interview, you want to come across naturally and like you don't want to be, sounding really robotic. I'm asking you to script it so it sounds natural, okay? But like half the questions, at least on like the kind of general learning, personal statement, this kind of side of stuff, they are the same questions every single time. So it makes sense for you to have like pre-written answers for this. If you don't and you're thinking on the spot, not many of you guys, and this is absolutely no hate to you, but also just true, not many of you can come up with like super eloquent answers on the go. And that's just because, like not enough practice, like you've never been in that situation. So I do recommend you script it. Second kind of question is going to be where I expect you to practice the method. So there'll be like certain types of questions. Obviously, there's different methods to approach each of those questions, have something in mind. And then the third is just practice. And those practice will come through the resources that I'm going to share with you. Okay, so let's start with like the first type, which I think is going to be personal statement prep. Okay, so first off, on the site, it's not unlocked yet. I'll put an announcement out. It's going to be this weekend. there's going to be like a chat that's basically programmed with like the framework of stuff, which like better way to answer the question. Okay, so for this, so it's going to give you some guidance, and it's going to test you on like really specifically, like, do you know this? So it's just basically going to fact check you. It's going to make sure that you've understood it super well. Use that to basically kind of stress test your personal statement knowledge. So by using it, you'll be able to say, like, you know, it will ask you, for example, give me an insight from this book that you've included in your personal statement. You then give an answer saying, like, this is one interesting thing. And then it will say to you, that's not interesting enough. That's like not advanced enough. Like, or it'll ask you to explain the theory and so on and so forth. Okay. So you can do that. But the most important thing is the part that you guys have to do is obviously read your own source material. If you've included a book, if you've included a lecture, whatever activity, these are just some examples of the things that I'd expect you to know. Okay. Dates, names, facts and figures, whatever. Okay, so this kind of stuff, this is scripted. Okay, so for each of the sections in your personal statement, I expect you to go through and have like a set of notes that you're making, question at the top, and basically you're talking through and you're saying, this is what happened here, this is the answer that I would give if somebody asked me about this book, this insight, this particular project, whatever it is. Okay, anybody have any questions about this part here? Pretty clear? Okay, cool. Second part of personal statement prep. If you have included, like, for whichever section that you're doing, you should have some stuff that you weren't able to include in the original personal statement. Okay, so that would be stuff like you wish you could have talked about alternative views or like somebody else, like other sources, but there just wasn't enough space. So the longer version of your personal statement, basically. So for that kind of stuff, like, just have another page of notes of stuff that's like extra detail, because when they ask you about your personal statement, they do not want you to repeat what is in there. So for example, let's say you've put something about development economics and how aid is actually not a very good method for helping developing countries grow. If that is the sentence, or like that's a series of sentences that you've put in your statement, and then they say to you, what are some factors that affect growth, you do not want to repeat, one of the factors that affects growth is you know, aid and how much is given. That's just repeating. Okay, so this is where this part comes into play, where you've got some extra material and you can say, aside from aid, which I already talked about in my personal statement, one of the ideas discussed in this other book was this is a factor, and I think this is also a very interesting point. Okay, so this part is you're prepping and you're scripting stuff outside of what's already in your statement. And this is the stuff you say when they ask you about it, not the stuff in your statement. Can't make that clear enough. Okay. Stop me if you've got any questions, but otherwise I'm going to go on. Okay. Area 2. So personal statement, that's all you need to do. I recommend you use the body chat to test yourself, but also do your own readings, okay? With area 2, it's all about your course, okay? You have chosen that course. You need to know that course, okay? This is all you. There's nothing that I'm going to do to help you with this, because I think it's pretty much common sense. I'll take you through an example maybe, but like this is you, okay? So faculty first. Who is going to be interviewing you? You will be able to find this out really easily. Just go to your course page, find out who is the faculty, who's the head of department, who are the different, what modules does like each member of staff teach, how long have they been there, do they have a CV, what research is in that CV, do they have a blog, you know, that sort of thing. And just kind of be like, you know, appraised on the major facts of basically the makeup of the department and who's there. Okay, you don't need to know a crazy amount for this, but just at least roughly know who's there, what kind of areas of research do they focus on. Okay, for apart from that, on the course, the modules. Okay, so there's going to be, in especially for obviously I mean it's Oxford, Cambridge, Imperial, right, that we're looking at. You need to know at least the core modules from first year. So in first year, usually like you don't get to pick every single module, because there'll be introductory things. Okay, you should know what these are and roughly what goes into them. Okay, so again, you're just looking generally at what do you learn. So if you can think of major questions that you cover throughout these modules, that's essentially what you do when you learn a particular subject, is they give you a series of questions that you are finding answers to. Okay, that's probably how I'd structure my notes. Okay, so just have a list of questions, a list of modules, list of the questions answered in those modules. Second year and third year, obviously you get the option. So I would just pick out a couple of modules which sound interesting to you. This would have been similar to the research you did at personal statement level, but obviously at personal statement level, you're looking at the overall degree, whereas now you're looking at your specific course at the university, Oxford, Cambridge, whatever you've applied for. Okay. Again, stop me if you've got any questions, yeah? Okay, this is the third part of your course stuff. For some of your subjects, there will be specific softwares and specific skills that you have to learn, have to know to be able to actually progress through your course. It's going to be different for every subject, okay? So if there is one that is used from day one, then I would want to know that, and you'd want to know how that is specifically used. Like, why do you need it? Like, which areas is this useful for? Like, why do they make it an essential part of your course? And I'll come to later in this, later in my little slideshow of what you can do with that, like whether you should learn it or not. But for now, at least knowing it is, I would say, essential. Okay, this is area 3. This is the stuff that is now, up until now, it's basically been like essential, compulsory, you have to do it. From now, it's going to differ person to person how much effort you put in for areas 3 and 4, okay? So first off, current affairs prep. Now, you can do your own research. I am also on the site just going to we're making a resources tab at the moment, so that tab's just going to have like at least the essential events for most of your degree. So those are the things that I'm just going to say, like, at least know this, but then you can then go on and do more research on top of that. Okay, so when I say like current affairs for this first part, I mean like even if your subject is maths, politics, economics, all of these other kind of events still affect your field of study. So you have to know, what are the dynamics affecting your field of study? Has there been a ton of funding coming your way? Has there been an event that means like everybody's now suddenly really interested in your subject? Are there parts that are really, really useful for, I don't know, economic development, whatever? Nothing is like isolated. Everything is very much like dynamic. It's very much like holistic. So there will be certain current affairs, like general current affairs, that affect your subject as well. You need to know those. Okay, so that, as I said, I'll include on the site, but also you guys should be able to go and find that yourself as well. Okay, next part of current affairs prep, I would say what's going on specifically in your field. So if the previous bit was like more general, if that was more like, you know, what is what's going on generally in the world, this part is going to be a lot more in your field of study, who's won the Nobel Prize this year? In your field of study, who are the fathers of your subject, basically? Like if you're studying economics, let's say, and you don't know Adam Smith, you don't know Karl Marx, you don't know, I don't know, whatever, Friedman, like you're going to be sort of kind of, okay, this you should know. So we're looking for historical, important figures, institutions, and events, as I've put for you here. Okay, so just really, really important, widely known, widely accepted theories and fields and events from your field of study. Okay, again, I'm going to include like most of them and we'll keep adding to it, but you guys can go away and do your own research. I'm sure you're more than capable. Okay, and then this is a part which I think a little bit more difficult, but if you had some opinions and you could form some opinions through your own research about what is going to happen in your field of study, like where do you think it's going? How is tech, how is AI, how is like globalization affecting your particular field of study, and you can show kind of like a natural, deeper thinking and an understanding of the different forces, I guess, affecting your field of study, I think this would make you sound extremely intelligent, and it will be something that not very many of you guys will naturally, you know, right now you probably don't have enough information to do this. If you've done enough research to get to this point, I think you've pretty much nailed it. Okay, area 4, this is like just knowledge and general theory that I expect you to know. So A-level knowledge, this is essential. Okay, this, please just go over every single thing you have learned in A-level. I'm not saying it will definitely come up, but it may be like a passing comment. They might say something like, obviously from A-level you know about, I don't know, whatever it is, like stem cells or something. Okay, so if they say that and they're just using that as like the starting point of a question, and then you know they ask you to, I don't know, explain it quickly, they're like, give me the definition quickly and then I'm going to tell you how this links to the question, and you can't do that first bit, they are going to just look at you like you're an idiot. Okay, and the tutors, some of them are nice, some of them are less nice. I've had, you know, experiences with tutors at interview and afterwards where they will just call you an idiot, like it just straight up, you know, it's not going to be an environment where they're necessarily going to be like, oh, everything you do is amazing, because they're expecting to teach you within like sort of 10 months. Okay, so you should really be at the stage where you can at least kind of defend what you know and present yourself well. Okay, so A-level stuff, you want to know this. If you don't, it's just, and on the off chance you get called out on this, it's just going to suck. Okay, so please, and especially if you do maths, just brush up on the maths, okay? Because it's in some capacity, it always seems to come up. Okay, and then we've got the kind of like general knowledge, like how to approach breaking down arguments, like constructing arguments, how to like work through problems, how to read articles, like, because they might give you some pre-reading, right? They might give you a series of articles, and then in the actual interview portion, they'll say, hey, so you've read all of these articles, what do you think? Give me your opinions. So, you know, you probably, I'm guessing most of you have some idea of how to do that, but there are obviously better and worse ways to do that. You know, I talk about this all the time. You guys, and again, not calling anybody out, but generally you tend to learn more information. But I think probably the last time any of you really addressed, you know, how to write an essay, how to read properly, it would have been pre-GCSE, right? Because from GCSE, what are you doing? You're just like covering subject knowledge. So I'm guessing your kind of like way of thinking is still going to be somewhat stuck at like the 14-year-old you of like, yes, you know, the whole intro paragraph, you know, ending, and you know, an argument starts with, I think this because X, right? That's probably what you're stuck at. It's not very sophisticated, guys. Okay. Honestly, it's one of my like pet peeves with like the school system. It's just like they immediately switch you onto knowledge, and they don't actually kind of help you learn how to think and do these skill parts better, which is annoying, right? So this stuff, please practice this. I know this seems like not that important. I think this is the most important potentially, because when I've done mocks and one-on-ones with people in the past, this is where people really show themselves as like either they're able to take new information and do this and that or not. Okay. And this stuff, I'm going to post some videos actually, like how-tos and stuff, but it might be slow. I'm going to try and get like a few up this week. But what I say is like revise it yourself as well. I'll post some resources, like more high-level stuff. If it's tricky, obviously you can ask us, but in general, you should do your own research as well. Okay, A-level plus. Now this is basically going to be like first year material. First year material at Oxford, and so I can only really speak of Oxford. I've seen like some Cambridge materials and Imperial materials. Imperial is just like a whole nother level of crazy, but I would say first year materials are not too much harder, okay, than A-level. So it is accessible for you guys, I think. So I think my plan with that is I will post obviously some of the actual questions that you might get in Michaelmas, which is term 1. But don't think you have to do them. Like if you can't do them, like don't hate on yourself. If you want to submit some answers to us and get it checked, you can. But this part I would say is like, if you have time, okay? This is not like your first priority. Your priority is very much the other stuff we've just gone through, okay? This stuff is only if you've really nailed everything else and you would like to try the university stuff, because I don't think the university stuff will come up as actual questions, but they might use like ideas and themes from it to create questions that are more similar to your level. However, if you smash it in the interviews and you get through their question really quickly, what they will do is they'll have harder stuff for you, and that stuff will actually be university level. So if you're in an interview and you get to a point where they're asking you outrageously difficult things, you're probably in at that point, okay? So that this is that, and it's to help you with that portion, which is why I say it's less important than the other stuff, because obviously, you know, you're only really going to get to that point if you've absolutely nailed it. And at that point, do you even really need help? You know, that's kind of my thing. And here's where the software part comes up again. Let's say like some sort of like modeling program is really used in your subject. Only really try and tackle that and try it out and test it if you've done everything else on the list, okay? All right, so now the unpredictable. Okay, so this is the stuff which is like the questions that you can't prep for because you don't know what they're going to be. We can take a good guess, okay? And so we've taken some educated guesses about what the questions could be, and those are the ones that are on the site. Those are the ones that I think you should do last. So do the other stuff first, and then with this, it's not volume. Do not focus on volume, because as I said, it would be volume if we knew exactly what the questions were going to be. We can only tell you like basically the shape of the questions, right? So with the questions on the site, the way that I would use that is to look at them, try out recording yourself an answer, like just in front of a camera if you want, because I think that's better practice. You can do a voice memo if you like, or if you're really shy, you know, you can do a written answer. I just don't think it's as effective for practice, because we're interested in how concisely and eloquently you deliver information, as well as being able to get the right answer. So I would really advise that if you guys can, just to do a voice memo or video and submit that to us, so that we can give you feedback. But I would leave this for after you've got a bit of base knowledge going. This is more like kind of final steps alongside the A-level plus knowledge that I've talked about. Okay, now in terms of unpredictable questions, we've talked about common questions. Okay, common questions are going to be like based on A-level, based on personal statement, based on current affairs, like all of this predictable stuff. The new stuff, the stuff that's going to be for you guys being like, oh, this is what the Oxford interview, like, you know, this is why I was so, this is the stuff that for you guys is going to feel like, how would I even deal with that? There's only really 4 types, okay? So there's stuff where they give you new information and they're like, read this and tell me what you think, okay? So they'll it could either be that, or it could be, here's some new information. Now you've got this new information, figure out the answer to this. And this new information doesn't have to be new, because you could have revised it before. So I think we saw that in some of the TSA sessions, you know, when somebody would have a little bit of background knowledge about, say, philosophy. A lot of the new information will be based on first year ideas. So what I suggest for that is basically that you look at university year one textbooks if you have time. I mean, I'll be honest, that is what I personally did. I just do like all of the first year stuff. So all the questions were very predictable in that sense, because you know roughly where it's coming from. Is that overkill? Yes, but I had already finished like A2 stuff. So if you're in my position, let's say you finished A2, you're on a gap year, something like that, then one thing that you could do is potentially just do the first year textbooks, okay? Again, I will post those links into the resources tab, but if you want to go away and do your own research and find that, you can do that, okay? Second type of question that is going to be sort of like new to you is, can you like walk through things? Okay, so often they'll present you with a problem and they want you to take them through step by step. Now, some people think rushing through is the way to go, like they think that's what they want. No, you can absolutely give the answer at the front, right? You can say that first. You can say, hey, I've looked at it and I think the answer is this, but then let me talk you through my method. Okay, so this like kind of balance of like knowing the correct answer, also knowing how to explain, extremely important, and if refined, really can be such a great way to make yourself like show yourself off as a really good student. Because if you know anything about the tutorial system, you're essentially just sat there and that's what you're doing. A question's raised and then you're talking through your opinions, somebody else is talking through their opinions, but the opinions are never based on like what you are thinking, it's based on what you read and researched. I understand I'm going through this very quickly, so if you've got questions, please just note them down and we'll go through them, okay? Third type of question, can you extract and apply? I think this is pretty self-explanatory. And then logical pattern questions, okay? So those are the different question types I'd expect you guys to revise. Okay, I'm going to finish with some FAQs that I have guessed are going to come up. So I'll just run you through these really quickly in case these were some of your questions. So on university reading lists, because you know when you go to the university site and they'll have like suggested reading, I would actually say, unless you've already read them and they're in your statement so you have to reread them, they're not like that useful in terms of university prep, because they tend to be more like become interested in your subject, because right, it'll be like the undercover economist, which is obviously like useless for actual like interview is proper, you know, thought out, like it's not just what's interesting about economics. That's not a question you're going to get, okay? So for that reason, I don't personally recommend them. I recommend actually the first year reading list, like the ones that you get when you get a place and you're prepping in the summer before, because they ask you to prep it, right? I think I've got a couple of the prep materials and like questions you're supposed to answer for like engineering, maths, physics, economics, and politics. If there are other subjects here and I can try and get my hands on the current years, it's not really that important for you to go through that, honestly, which is why I'm not making it a priority. But it's really, I think, because we're starting early this year, by week 3, let's say, if you guys still have questions and you want to go through it, we can absolutely do that, okay? Do you have to learn every topic ever? Obviously not. You should learn a couple of topics really well. Let's say you're looking at micro general principles, or like whatever from first year. You don't need to learn every single chapter in Varian or whatever it is. Like you just have to learn a couple of things and like use that to explain things really well, and then maybe just have an idea, like know of the other topics, but you don't have to learn everything. It's impossible for you guys at this stage unless you started well before. Like even for me personally, it took me the whole summer before A2, so that was like what, 3 months of like proper prepping, and unless you guys have like 6-7 hours free a day, I really doubt you're going to get through it in the next 3 weeks. And then so what topics should you learn? I think you should pick the ones that are most interesting to you, because they're the ones that you're going to be most natural about. So you know, let's say you've really taken an interest in certain, again, they'll be in your personal statement. So if you've included certain topics in your personal statement, start there, because then that's even better, right? If they ask you about that and then you know you've written this in your personal statement, because some of you guys, I haven't seen all of your statements. Some of them that I saw after the fact, I was a little bit like, oh, you know, I wish I could have worded that differently for you. So if you've included a topic in personal statement and you've written it like that, then know everything around it. That's going to be the stuff that you then talk about when they ask you about it, and that's going to sound super impressive, right? This is really funny because I know you haven't actually asked me these questions, so maybe I shouldn't even bother going through them, but you know, do you have to know every single thing that's happened in the news ever? I'm really hoping that some of you guys have been keeping up with the news. if you do not, again, I'm going to write an essential list, like stuff that I think if you just don't know, you just sound really stupid. Like, sorry, but like there is just some stuff that you should know. But beyond that, it's going to be like different for every person. Okay. If you don't get an interview, if you're not sure, if you're not feeling very confident, because I know somebody's going to ask like, oh, I don't feel like I did very well. What if I don't get a place? Either way, it's good prep for university, like it will either way. Like, I'm really glad I went through all that stuff early because my first year was like so easy as a result. So you're going to have to learn it at some point anyway. Who cares? Like, just have an easy breezy summer, and at this point just be confident. Okay, if you haven't done that bad, if you think you've done badly and then you get an interview, you've got a lot of covering up to do. So surely you should be prepping from now anyway. Okay. And then what if you're really bad at something? I think unless it is really core and fundamental to your subject, if you are bad at something and it's core and fundamental, you must fix that, like 1000%. Like, if it's something maths related, if it's something graphs related, if it's something like reading and extracting articles, if you're doing a humanities and you're really slow at reading or something, you have to fix that. But if it's other stuff that's like tangentially related to your subject, who cares? Okay, so I know that was really quick. Hopefully most of you followed that, and hopefully what you have to do and how to do that kind of makes sense for you. I am going to probably post this as a link in the in whatever channel Bo tells me to as well, so you will have this in case you wanted to like refer back and you haven't made notes. But yeah, I think that's pretty much what I wanted to cover for now. As I said, going forward, there's going to be a lot of stuff in terms of like resources and like chats and whatever going up, and obviously you can submit questions to us. But I think for the time being, I think most useful obviously is like if some of you guys book in to do like a little bit of an evaluation, because I'll be able to tell pretty easily within about 5-10 minutes like how you what kind of how far along you are basically. And I'd say somebody who's super prepared, like a 10, like usually when we do a mock with them, it's so obvious, like it's not too far off a 6 or a 5. Do you know what I mean? So like, don't feel too disheartened if you feel very unprepared right now. Everything can turn around in 2-3 weeks if you just kind of target the right things and only focus on that, and don't waste any time and don't panic, and all the don'ts. Okay, so we'll have obviously additional workshops, as I said, for each subject, like subject specific things, but a lot of this stuff is like pretty much do it yourself, like revise it yourself, practice it yourself, and then just get as much feedback as possible from us. Okay, so I think that's all I wanted to say for now. Does anybody have any questions? Don't be shy, guys, because honestly, if you're not sure about anything, now would be the time to ask before where you can sound silly and it doesn't matter.
I have a question regarding books. So with memorizing all the knowledge within books, would you say it's best to write down key summaries, or just try read and memorize and understand from the get-go?
That's an interesting question. Yeah, definitely not summaries, I would say. So let's actually think about in what context that question would come up, right? Let's say one of the tutors does ask you about a book. They are not going to say, hey, will you summarize this book for me, right? What they're going to say is something like, what was one interesting argument in the book? And why did you find it interesting? Or what was the conclusion, or like what was the main conclusion from the study that was included in this book, and do you think it's valid? These are the questions, right? So what I do is write out a list of the likely questions, and again, I will post some of them if you're not sure what those might be, and then practice that. So again, the body is also like coded to do that, so it will test you on, do you know actually interesting things? So summary wise, obviously if there's like a major argument that was in the book that you don't know, you will sound like you haven't read it. So to that extent, yes, but it's not a fiction book, right? It's not like a this happened and this happened and this happened. So that to that extent, it's not important. Does that make sense?
Great, thank you.
No worries. Anybody else?
I just have a follow-up question from that. You said like talk about the arguments in your book, but then also don't repeat yourself in a personal statement. Like one of the books that's on my personal statement, like it's to be on, like I know that book inside out, and it does not have like a counter argument. So I feel like if I had to talk about it, like 100, I guess, I don't know, it sort of just follows, it's like a
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah, without getting too much into specifics, without knowing exactly what you're talking about. And again, you could submit this as a different question to me if you like, and I can take a look at your specific case. But I think most likely what you would want to do in that case is just to say, look, I totally agree with this, with all the arguments in this book. And another book that I read that solidified this for me was this, and bring in something else, okay? Or bring in something from a different text. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you.
Great.
I had a question as well. So I do know about economics, but I don't know that much, and politics and philosophy I'm still revising them, but like I've got a pretty good base knowledge from A levels. So for the economics part of PPE, should I be trying to learn about, I don't know, fundamentals in economics?
If you don't study it as an A level, yeah, this is a good question actually. So let's say you've got a subject in your degree that you haven't studied at A level, then obviously for that particular subject, they are going to assume zero knowledge. So what you want to do to avoid sounding like an idiot is to obviously know, sort of the things that are big events, like, as I said, like the fathers of economics or big ideas and all of that kind of stuff. So focus on like big picture stuff. And then you can learn some theory, some detail just by like reading through it, and save that in your back pocket as one of those where it's like, I don't think I know a lot about this. I didn't actually study this, but I do know about, and then like introduce it like that. That is going to work in your favor then. So obviously like philosophy, politics, brush up on it really, really well. And then for economics, still, yeah, you should know some stuff.
Thank you.
No worries. Who else?
Sorry, I just had. Oh, sorry. No worries.
Sorry, this is probably not the easiest way to do it, actually. If you guys, so I think, was that Brick? Was that you asking a question? Do you want to start? And then I'll probably just, if you guys like raise a hand or something, I'll pick you. So was that, who was that? Was that Brick and Rameza, right?
Wait, how do you raise your hand?
So the wrong person to ask about this. I think there's just got to be like you can just quack if you like, whatever, like something that at least I know that you. Okay, right. Okay, that's used successfully. All right. So Vidusika, sorry if I'm saying that wrong. Yeah. What's your question? Maybe a mic issue. Who else did a duck? Okay. Ishti, yeah, do you wanna ask first and then we'll wait for, yeah.
I heard that some people say to make yourself more remembered by the interviewers that you could, be like, say, a joke or something, or just be be a bit chill, conversational. Like, what would you say to that?
I mean, like, to be fair, like I did have a bit of if you're laughing with your tutors, that's pretty good, right? It means you're relaxed, they're relaxed, like, you're getting along. At the end of the day, like, they're going to spend a lot of time with you. You want to like them, right? We still go back and visit tutors. Like, I mean, I'm a lot of years on, but we keep up, right? You become friends. So in that sense, like, yeah, if you're sharing a laugh and a joke, great, but like, don't force it. I don't know what joke you're talking about specifically. Don't like prepare a joke if you're thinking about like, yeah, something on theme. Maybe for all of you guys, unless you're like naturally you're going to throw it naturally into conversation, can't really see when that would happen. But yeah, during the course of the interview, if there is like a place where you can just make a little quip or like be a bit more relaxed and natural, that is absolutely the right thing to do. Like, be relaxed and happy in it. Don't be panicking, because can you imagine how stressful it is for the interviewer, right? I was actually speaking about this with my friend the other day. Like, when they're interviewing you and the person's just like shaking like a leaf and just like, is this right? Like, am I right? Like, if you're doing that, it's uncomfortable for everybody. Okay, so just be relaxed and just be like, I don't know the answer to this. Can you help me out a little bit? I think I could do it if you just gave me a little bit of a nudge. And don't kind of like go on and on and on. If you're stuck, just cut it shorter and just be like, I think I know up to this point. Is this right? Can you check it for me? Just treat it more like that. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, does that answer your question? Maybe don't. What was the joke that you were gonna say?
Oh no, it's just like how to make the interview more conversational. Like someone just said, like, maybe crack a joke if there's an opportunity to. But just to follow up on that, I don't know if you've mentioned this before, but what else would you say then? What else would you say would be a way to make yourself more memorable to the interviewer?
I don't think you have to be that memorable, to be honest, because I think they're looking for good, right? At the end of the day, they're not allowed to imagine you get feedbacks, and the feedback for why they didn't pick you is because you weren't memorable because you didn't crack a joke. That's not what they're looking for. Ultimately, I do think that they're looking for, like, can you answer questions well? So if you're that should be your first priority. Okay, if you can do that well, and then you also at the end, I don't know, like, have a nice conversation. I remember somebody on my course at my college, like, she really bonded with our tutor because she was from Texas. He was from Texas, and he just, like, started his first year there as well. So they had a little, like, joke about that, and I think that definitely made him like her more because they had a bit of a nice conversation. But beyond that, like, something naturally happening, it's just nothing really there. So just get the questions right first. The other stuff, if it happens, it happens, type thing. But if they mention something, they say, how are you doing, like, obviously be normal and say, like, how are you, and, like, I don't know, if you wanted to mention, like, I read your book and, like, on the way here, or, like, whatever, just be normal, basically, is my advice.
Thank you. Apologies if that was a bit of an odd question.
No, I don't think so at all. I think, like, get all these, like, questions out of the way, because I know there's loads of, like, it's just such an opaque process. I know it's confusing for a lot of you, but once you go through it, once you get through the other side, you'll be like, oh, actually that was, like, so chill, like, I didn't have to freak out about it at all, right? Okay, can somebody throw some ducks? Okay, Rameja?
I've got 2 questions.
Okay.
So my first question is like, so I'm applying for PPE, and for the economics part, and I just do, like, single maths. Should I be without further, should I just brush up on pure, or, like, stats as well?
In your case, I think what you should do, Raja, is to look through the subject-specific questions that are going to be on the site. Try it, because there'll be maths questions in there as well. So solve them, and if you find you can't do those because you're not good enough at maths, at that point, I would consider going through some of the maths. But I think you'll find, like, you'll see it as well. Like, you don't need a whole lot of, like, A2 maths, like, further math skills to actually do it. I think the only way it really benefits you is if you've gone, like, pretty far into stats and stuff. So don't worry about that at all.
Would it be, like, year 1 of A-level maths, or, like, year 2 of A-level maths?
I mean, it would definitely be, like, all of A-level maths that you'd want to know as standard. Have you not covered all of that yet?
Yeah, no, we've not. We've only done, right, like, we've not touched year 2 statistics at all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I actually don't know what's in each year of math, so let me double check that with Joe, and then I'll let you know if I think there's anything essential in there specifically for economics. There probably will be, actually. In which case, I'll just tell you
as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I think most of you guys are edX, all right? Yeah, let me look into it a little bit, because I think there are topics that will be useful to know. In which case, just learn it really quickly, yeah. Or Joe might hold a class or something to cover it, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, go on.
And then my second question is that, like, I'm applying for PP, and then there's, like, the interview for each of the components of that. So
Yeah.
I was wondering, like, until I get an interview, how many mocks interviews in total do you think that I should aim to get?
I honestly think, like, if you've solved all the questions that we're going to put up, and you got correct answers for them, and I've said, like, yeah, your answers are pretty good, like, you don't really need, like, too many full mocks, because the real thing's gonna be different anyway, right? It's just, like, whether you can think intensely and work through answers, and, like, what's going to happen when you're presented with new information. Can you be pushed and pushed and pushed? Because the one thing, obviously, that, like, standalone questions can't test is how far we can push you along and how far you can get. So that's really the purpose of the mock. So the other stuff, like, you can just do through practice. So I think one of each would honestly be fine, unless it's, like, absolutely tragic, in which case I would tell you to maybe go do some prep and we'll do another one.
Okay, thank you.
No worries. Okay, who else? I think, who is it? Sorry, what's this name here? Sally? Sally, is your mic working? If you're speaking, I can't hear you. Okay, maybe I'll just okay. Do you want to just write in the chat if you're having trouble, because I can't actually hear anything that's going on. I'll just move on to Bailey, was it? Did you also throw something up? Yeah, and then we'll come to you. Yeah.
So obviously, with a lot of the interviews moving online, I've applied at John's, which is online. So is it worth maybe having like a sheet of paper in front of me that has maybe like a cheat sheet of information to look back on if I get a bit anxious? I don't know if that's like inappropriate.
What
like,
subject are you, and what would you put on the sheet?
So I've applied for architecture, and there's like a lot of like stylistic movements that I'm not like that confident on. So just having like a little bit of information about each written down would be kind of helpful, but I don't know.
Yeah. Would you tell the tutors that you had that?
Probably not. This is what I mean. Like, is that
I think that's quite a bad idea. And also, like, I think if you have something in front of you and the questions are like in no way related, but you're struggling with the question, you'll be tempted to just look down and like try and find something to, you know, when you're in a test and you have no idea like what's going on and you try to use the question to solve the question. It'll be that kind of thing, I think. And obviously, if you know, what you have to do is just think carefully about the question in front of you. I personally think that's like a pretty bad idea, to be honest. I know it's scary. You'll be fine, honestly. They're not going to ask you things, I think, where you've got to recite and like have loads of things memorized anyway. So I just wouldn't worry about it.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Who was that? Was that Vidusika? Sorry. I think, yeah, was your mic working earlier? Because I think yeah, if you can try again now. I'm not sure that your mic's working because I can't actually hear you if you are speaking. So I think I have to come back to you. But when and if that's working, I will definitely come to you. Lamau, do you have a question? LMAO, whatever your user is here. Is this everybody's mic just like being problematic, or are people just not able to? Okay, let's go. If your mic's not working, I will just move on. Okay, so if you fix it, feel free to ask again. Ayan, do you have a question?
Yes.
Oh.
Oh, two. Okay. Should we go Ayan first, and then whoever has the username Godfather?
Okay, sure.
Okay. What should I be preparing for in the management interview if something like that were to come up?
I mean, I think following my little kind of slideshow of different areas is probably you apply it in exactly the same way, right? So for all of you guys, actually, like, let's say if it's in your personal statement, make sure you've read around it and make sure you know everything that's going on. If it is, I think this current affairs part will be particularly important for management because obviously it is very like not real world, but it's very case study based, right? I think Gabe is actually writing up some management case studies. So if you read up through one of those first, that will kind of teach you how to read like real news and apply it in like a management sense. So then you can look at a few like interesting things that have happened this year. So that would probably be the best way to the current affairs bit. So I'll let you know when that's up. And then on the knowledge and theory side, just know like obviously there's like different modules in different areas, right? So it's not just management, it's like finance, accounting, there's like organizational, there's, you know, tech and ops, there's strategy, marketing. So I would just know a few of these different areas and then maybe a couple of like key ideas like Mintzberg and, you know, the kind of stuff that you would have come across in easy reading.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Great. But yeah, management, as I say, is very case study based. So you need to know how to do a case study.
Thank you.
Okay, so who was the Godfather and 999 username?
Yes. Yes. So should we actually practice the logic component of philosophy, and is it in line with the problem solving section in the TSA?
No, definitely not. It's completely different. Like actual logic is completely different. So I will post some proper logic questions as well. Should you know how to solve them in like with like the proper method? No, probably not. But should you have like some idea and some semblance of how to approach these questions? I'd say yes. Because philosophy, obviously, like half of it is logic. So yeah, I think work through some of the questions, look at some of the more important stuff from it. Does that kind of answer your question? I don't know if I've been specific enough there.
Yes, I had another question, but it's not really relevant to what we're talking right now.
Is it interview related? If not, can you?
It is kind of.
Okay, fine. Yeah.
So I'm really curious if I would get an interview because I didn't perform very well in the problem solving section.
See, this is where my FAQs come in so useful. I knew it. Somebody will be thinking that. Look, as I said, if you did badly in that, guess what you're going to have to do in interviews? Show yourself off as like a math wonderkind, you know? So if you've done badly in your admissions, you can absolutely make it up, right? Because some kids, I can't remember which year it was, but one of the kids did pretty badly in the TSA, but we didn't even figure it out until later because he got in and then he requested the score anyway. And we figured out that he'd actually completely fucked up the problem solving section. But then when he asked for, you don't get interview feedback if you get a place, but like when he was talking to his tutors and stuff, they were like, yeah, your interview was just like off the charts. So basically, never say never, even if you've messed it up, and prepare like you've got a place, I would say.
Okay, thank you. That's good motivation.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, guys, like all of you right now at this point in time are in with an equal shot, right? Like you may as well give it your best go. And if you're gonna detract or like basically like let nerves get the best of you and whatever it is, like you're gonna regret it. It's just use the time you have now, use it effectively. Don't be embarrassed about anything. Just be a bit arrogant, okay? Just be overly confident. We love a bit of overconfidence, yeah? Right, okay, who else? Euthika?
Her microphone is not working, but she put it in general chat, I think.
Oh, thank you for that. Where is the general chat?
I can also read it up if you want.
Oh yeah, could you actually? That would be very kind of you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
She said, I have a question, but my mic is not working. When you said that we shouldn't mention the things we've written about in our personal statement, do you mean that we only talk about it if the interviewers ask about it? Also, I wanted to talk about my work experience in a question, yet I've talked about it in my personal statement already. Would I have to talk about something else that I have encountered during that experience rather than what I have mentioned already? Or can I still talk about what I've written?
Oh, okay, great. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for that. Yeah. So when I say like don't repeat things in your personal statement, I just mean like don't like word for word without adding anything extra, repeat anything, because remember they have read your statement, so they might have skimmed it. So maybe like you could raise it again and say, I don't know if you remember from my personal statement, but I did include this section about name the thing, and then say, so I concluded and I wrote this in the personal statement. I wrote this, but another thing that I was researching or looking at or thinking about at the time was actually this, and I thought that was a really interesting whatever. So I know that's really like vague in general, but that's the general structure of how I would go about talking about something from the personal statement. So it would never just be, let's say I'd written something in the personal statement, it would never just be like, yeah, in my personal statement I said this, full stop. Do you know what I mean? So because the personal statement is meant to be concise and like very efficiently structured, so it's obviously not going to be in your best interest to just repeat that, because it's an underdeveloped, for most of you guys it would have been an underdeveloped idea. Does that make sense? So if you're proud of it and you want to talk about it again, just mention that it is in your personal statement and add extra stuff about that experience.
She said thank you.
Okay, great, thanks. Dawn, did you have a question?
No, I'm just listening.
Okay, cool. Anybody else? Emily, and then we'll come to Zenon, I think.
It's just a question from like past experience. When do you know when people would start receiving like interview offers or rejections? Because I've seen mid-November and late November, but also I was thinking, do you think that if you've been rejected you'll hear back sooner because they just sort of want to like get you out the way type thing, or is it not like that?
I think it's basically it's like dependent on college slightly. It's dependent on subject and college. So if you go onto the site, it will tell you. I think you typically get like 1 max 2 weeks of prep, so not a huge amount of notice. And I think in terms of like rejections versus acceptances, the only thing we've noticed pattern-wise over the past few years is like the time of day it comes, but it's usually like the same day. So rejections will be sent in the morning and then not in the afternoon, but that's not particularly helpful, to be honest, right? So I think typically like just between like a week to 2 weeks notice.
Thank you.
Zenon, was it?
Yeah, so I just joined late. I was wondering if you could go through the start of this real quick, and I can just take pictures of the slides.
Oh, I'm actually going to post this as a PDF in the chat. So yeah, you'll have that. Don't worry.
Right, yeah.
I know Thanks. It's like a lot of information. Yeah, cool. Anything else?
Yeah, cheers. No.
Okay. Anything else from anybody? All right, cool. So I think, you know what? Oh, okay. I think this is a pretty exciting time. So, you know, please don't be nervous. Enjoy it, you know. Who was that? Was that Ramasia and Zenon? Ramasia
Yeah,
first?
that was me.
Yeah.
So I was wondering with like preparation, like would watching like YouTube videos help? For example, on like philosophy and like politics.
Ramasia, I'm gonna need you to follow my slideshow from. I have prepared this with like as efficiently as possible for you guys, okay? If you do this, I swear you will be absolutely fine. You'll be better prepared than 99% of people there, okay? Most kids are not doing this. Like most kids are doing a cursory glance over their personal statement, maybe like reading a few like random books, not in a targeted way. If you do everything that I've told you to do here, you're gonna be over prepared, basically.
Okay.
Don't watch random YouTube videos. Learn actual things that you can use. Like you can use, if you use a YouTube video, imagine how that's going to work, right? Let's say you watch a question being answered and you vaguely remember it. What are you going to do in your interview if that comes up? Oh, in a YouTube video, I vaguely remember watching this kind of question and I think they said like something like this. That's not a good answer. Do you see what I mean? Whereas if you do the prep, then you can be saying, oh, I actually remember looking at this. I think this was the main idea there and it was supported by this. And I remember it was worked through A, B, C. Shall I give it a go now? Do you see the difference?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it's tempting. Do it in your spare time, like do it, I don't know, when you're like eating dinner or something, but not as like your actual strategy.
So like would you say like reading actual things are better than like watching?
All of the stuff in these slides, do it as notes, like proper notes, and then once you feel prepared enough, record yourself doing like working through these answers and then submit it to me, okay?
Okay.
Any other questions?
When you say like submit it to you, is that for like the people that pay for the services, or is that just like a free thing?
You can all submit questions. Like the only reason we've done that is because there's, you know, basically like a limited number of teachers, so they're not going to be able to get through to everybody. So we're gonna try our absolute best to answer all of your questions. I promise you. I know it's a really scary time. It's just if we can't get through everybody, we have to like have some sort of ordering system, right? So it's more that than anything. But yeah, for subject specific, like we have subject specific teachers for each to answer each of your questions, which is why I'm saying submit it, because obviously I can't answer your architecture questions, right? But we can pass it on to somebody who can look at your answer. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's fine, thank you. Wait, do you know who to like send it to specifically?
I am not like in the know on that stuff, but I'm sure Bo or Rella or someone will have written some instructions somewhere. So if you can't find it, just send one of them a message.
Yeah, that's fine, thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, cool. So hopefully that gives you a pretty good like starting point. Obviously, there's not a huge amount of time, but if you use every day really effectively, honestly, guys, if you're really, really serious about this and like you care a lot about this, be it for getting into whatever university or degree, or just that you want to get ahead and you've got enough time, I would personally go all out. I know like it's part of you will be thinking, is there any point like doing all of this? Like, what if I don't get in? Who cares? Okay, so like who cares if you're embarrassed? Who cares if you don't get in? I know it matters, of course it matters deeply, but what I'm saying is who cares if you put the effort in? Okay, so I would say if there's anything stopping you from trying your hardest, like you know, there's a lot to do, right? So let's be productive with it. If you've got any questions, obviously feel free to ask and talk to each other as well. Like you can always help each other personally. Like if you're applying for different colleges, let's say, and then one of you're doing the same subjects and one of you wants to make notes on like 2008 to 2015 and somebody else is doing 2016 to 20, you know, and you share it, that's a pain halved is obviously then you both have both bits of knowledge. So I would personally do that, to be honest. I'd use each other. You're not competition if you're not the same college, honestly. Yeah, did we have a couple more questions and then we'll get on? Ramasia?
Yeah, so I had a question and I just remembered it now. Like I was wondering if there's like certain topics that are quite frequently asked during interviews, like PPE, for example, because I'm thinking like if I am going to revise a topic, then I'd want to like, you know, leverage my time in the best way possible.
Yeah,
so, like,
yeah. I can.
Is there any way that you could come up with like some sort of list?
That is precisely actually what's going in the resources tab. So as part of it, there will be like expected topics, expected current affairs, like things that you're expected to know. It's not going to be it's not going to be absolutely everything, but it'll give you a starting point, and then you can go ahead and do your own revision based off of that. Is that okay?
Okay, so that's coming soon then?
We'll have everything up pretty much by like Sunday, Monday, and then we'll ping on the channel as well, so you'll know. But yeah, it'll be up there for you.
Cool, thank you.
Cool. Xenon, was it? I can't figure out where the ducks are coming from. It's not a great system, guys. Maybe Ishti?
Yeah, it's a bit of a side note, but could you later on maybe make a video or some notes about how to work efficiently? Because this season is going to be quite busy for students with interview prep and A-levels and everything else. So I was just curious about how you work efficiently, and if you can give us any other advice on that.
Yeah, sure. Honestly, like my favorite topics, because I think this is a matter so deep to my soul, is some of you guys waste so much time on like really pointless things. It's all about planning and then only doing the things that matter, and also being really, really careful about like which skills you have worked on correctly. Because if your reading's like super slow, if you're like extraction, like you're not very good at analysis, if you're not very good at evaluation, like if you're not very good at quantitative things and like reading graphs and things, that obviously every single thing that comes at you is going to be slower, right? And that over the course of a year is really ineffective. So yeah, more than happy to do that. I'll let you know when I get round to it. But yeah, who else has a question before we? Also, I think it's just gonna be questions from now on, so I'll stay on for a little bit in case somebody comes up with a question, but I don't think I'm gonna cover anything particularly general. So if you guys needed to go, obviously go get revising. I'll pop this PDF into the channel right away so you can start reviewing. But before anybody leaves, actually, I just do want to say, like, make sure you please are not just like reading something and not doing anything with it. You could read 100 articles, and if you haven't written down and pulled out key points and things that you can actually use in an interview setting, that is completely useless. Okay, the reason I'm advising you to do this is so that you can script and prepare answers. So the order goes: read it, extract from it, prepare and script a kind of like good answer, practice saying it out loud in conversation. Those are the steps. Okay, don't just read it and stop, because if you are in an interview, someone asks you about it, and all you can say is, yeah, I for sure like read an article about it, I remember there was like something about a thing, like that is, you sound dumber if you do that. Okay, you either know something or you don't know something. If you vaguely know something about it, don't even bother talking about it, in my opinion, like, because you just sound stupid. That sounds harsh, but kind of true. Right. I hope that makes sense to all of you. Who does somebody throw up some drums? No, those weren't questions. Okay.
What you said, please? The read, extract, and then what do you do from an article?
Oh, like how to do it? Okay, yeah. So read the article, extract the key points from the article, like the important bits. Turn that into a short answer. Short, please, guys. Like, you don't go on and on and on. Honestly, like, nobody likes it. Short, interesting, packed answer, and then just practice saying it out loud or recording yourself or get somebody to listen to you.
Okay, thank you.
So basically what I'm trying to get you guys to think about is not just like vaguely talking about things, because I know this is like such a big thing with you guys because you're young and you haven't practiced this yet. Like, sometimes when you say you know something and then I'm like, hey, what do you know? And it would just be like a series of like, it might be this, it might be that, I think I read this, I think it might have been in this. And then, when it comes down to specifics, okay, so what happened then? What was the argument then? Where did they get this idea from? Who said that? You can't answer any of those questions. And if you can't do that, you don't know it. So don't claim to know it. Anything else? Okay, cool. I think that might be it from everybody. So look, let's go into this with confidence, okay? Like, we've got time. Work through it, and I'm sure I'll see you guys again. I think next time we'll go into this stuff. So what was it? What was my next plan? Oh yeah, the methods for these things. So like how to work through the unpredictable questions, methods for it. So I will let you know when that's going to be. I'm going to try and do it sooner rather than later because they're pretty fundamental skills for you to be able to do the rest of it. So I'm trying to like bring forward all the things that you need to do other things, and then like other subject specific stuff I'm kind of like pushing later because you need to do the general like, you know, prep first. So I think that's probably going to be Monday. But if anybody has, you know, we'll put a poll up or something for preferences. Yeah, did somebody throw a duck? I feel like I saw some ducks go through the air.
Yeah, I did. And another question just came to
Yeah.
my mind. I was wondering if for like the economics interview, for example, would they, and like if you're doing economics A level, would they expect you, or could they ask you about like specific diagrams that they teach you in the A level?
So I think I mentioned it at the beginning, like it's not that that's likely to come up, but they might use it as a starting point, and then if you don't know it, then you're in trouble because that's like a major red flag. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, they ask you the most rogue things sometimes as like the starter questions, and I know for them it's like, oh, they're breaking the ice, so they're like trying to be nice about it. I remember like in one of my interviews, someone was like, you know, something like how are animals classified? I'm like, bro, I'm doing management and economics. Like, why are you asking me about this? You know, but they're using it to kind of set up the question. And I had studied biology as an A level, as one of my A levels. So, you know, they were just like, how are animals classified? Like, why are they classified like that? And that was like the beginning of the question to then go on to something management related. So, do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I would personally want to know it, because then if you say like, oh, I don't know that bit, they'll be like, why have you not studied this in school? And then you'll be like, no, I have. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Any other ducks, or are we okay to leave it there? All right, cool. Yeah, so as I said, channel's always open, so talk to each other, send us questions. You can probably at me or something. I don't know how to check my messages, so you know, just please put it in the general channel and or submit a ticket or whatever the process is. And yeah, I will see you guys. I'll see you guys on Monday. I think there's a couple. The people who've thrown ducks, if you just want to stay behind, and then I'll just take your questions. I just don't want to keep everybody if they've got stuff to be doing. If you have time, you can obviously stay. But yeah, I think.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no worries, no worries.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, right. So Kraken. Okay, I can't actually hear you. I don't know if your mic's working. Do you want to just double check that? Yeah, take some time to fix it. I'll just come to Xenon first, and then I'll come back to you, okay?
I don't actually have a question. I don't think it was me. Yeah.
Oh, it wasn't. Well, I think the ducks keep coming from your direction.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it's because I think I'm in the middle, but it's normally the person who like the audio comes from, the blue outline. They only pops up for a second.
Oh, Chahat, was that you?
Yeah, I just had
Okay.
like a little question. So,
Sure.
you know the interview question bank, is that already on the website? Because I can't seem to find it.
So there's some questions already up for each subject on the like search bit. So if you just toggle to interview, and then you should be able to like filter by your subject. So there should be some questions already. There's going to be there's new questions going up every day though. So you might want to just check back every couple of days in case there's been some added for your subject. There's some like starter questions, and then the resource bank with like the university year questions, they'll be up on Sunday, and like the chat and stuff will also be up by Sunday. So you could do some general reading until then if you wanted to, and just try out a couple of the questions if you wanted to.
Okay, thank you.
No worries. I will see you in the next one.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Kraken, is your mic working now? Oh, I don't think so. Oh, sorry. I think your mic is actually, unfortunately, I can't hear you at all. Is this another you message and then Dawn, could you, if you do send a message in?
I just pinged Kraken in the general chat, so if they want to write it down, I can.
Thank you. This is teamwork.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Is there anybody else questions, or is everybody feeling pretty confident? Okay. Yeah, we'll just I'll stick around a couple more minutes in case there's a question that comes through. But Kraken, if you can't get your mic working, yeah, you just feel free to pop something in the general chat at some point, and if you just at me, I think I'll be able to see it, or somebody will give it to me anyway. So, Brick, did you have a question?
Yeah, I did. So I was just gonna ask, like, answering interview questions. Like a lot of the time when I see people phrasing their answers, they sort of go like, "Oh, I'm drawing on this knowledge I had," or something like that, and they speak really formally. But like, would you recommend that, or would it be better to be like casual and more chill with the interviewer?
I think like the most concise, like well explained answer always wins. And then the rest of it is more style, right? So if you are able to explain in a casual way, obviously that is somebody who's understood it really, really well, right? But if you prefer a more formal tone, that doesn't matter too much. I think you generally come across pretty smart. So it's just more like, going through the logic really clearly and efficiently, is what I think people would value more than anything else. But yeah, I mean, submit your answers, and I can give you more specific feedback. Does that make sense?
Yeah, right. Thanks.
How was your TSA, by the way?
Oh, I mean, it didn't go as well as I wanted it to because I like didn't get any sleep like the night before. But I was
So
just
does
like
that
kind of
mean
nervous.
not
No,
not okay? Still pretty good.
yeah, still pretty good.
Okay,
But probably just
good.
not my best performance.
Good to hear. What about you guys, Rameja and Chahat as well? I was meaning to ask you guys how it all went.
For me, like, I don't know, it wasn't good. Like when I finished it, I didn't really feel confident. But then I think that was just because I was expecting it to go better than it actually went. So, because like my last few papers I did before the thing, I got like 4 marks in the last
Oh,
papers.
nice.
I was like, I was feeling pretty confident, and then when it came to it, I just like I had to guess like 2 questions at the end, so it really threw me off.
Was it like an education guess?
I mean, no, no, it wasn't.
Okay, but everything else you were pretty confident on, so like 48 of them.
Yeah, I would say so, but still, like, it really threw me off.
Still, you
with
smashed
timing
that,
as well.
I think. I mean, I know what you're like. I feel like you've done well on that then, actually. Okay, cool. So, yeah, I mean, prep interview's hard. Yeah, Dawn, how did it go for you?
I'll answer that in a second, but Kraken wrote, my question is that I've mainly focused my supercurriculars and research and personal statement on economics. How would I go about approaching the preparation for the management interview if I haven't done a lot of research for it?
Yeah, so Kraken, I think I kind of said something similar earlier, so I'm just gonna repeat myself to be honest, but it's just the best way to do it is I would say management is very case study based. So you want to get the skills to like know how to go through a case study. That's number one. And then second is just the same kind of system as I've already put in the slide. So the current affairs, but approaching it like a case study, and then the general kind of like the important people in management and going through all of that as well. So there are obviously like very important ideas in management, like these are things that you should know, right? And then to know the different areas of management. So in management, it's not just management. What is management? It's finance, it's strategy, it's marketing, it's tech and ops, it's all of this kind of stuff. So you should know what is supply chain stuff, like just know all the different areas, couple of important people from each area, learn your case studies, apply it to current affairs. Hopefully that answers your question. But also, feel free to leave more messages and I will clarify further. But yeah, Dawn, how was yours? What do you think you got in it?
It was an interesting experience. I was like late to the test center, and it's because like there's usually not that much traffic, so I left like an hour before I was supposed to take it, but then dragged out. But I arrived like 15 minutes before my start time, and they wanted half an hour, but he was chill, and I just brought some snacks for the break, and I was allowed to do that, so I felt like I could refuel my energy a bit.
Okay, that's good.
I didn't feel very like prepared in the start because I was stressing with like arriving and stuff, so I had to take a moment to breathe. So I just watched the tutorial for Pearson, and that kind of helped. And I feel like it went way better than last year because, as I told you, I got like pneumonia like literally 2 days before my test, and I couldn't figure out whether or not I should like take the test or not, which I don't know, shouldn't have. But anyways, I also got sick like 4 days before this time, but I felt okay on the day. I
Oh
slept
my
well.
gosh. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay, good. You took after yourself. So are you thinking 40 plus?
I'm not thinking 40 plus. I'm thinking like maybe around like over 35, low like 40s maximum, but I'm applying for PPL, so I don't think it's that like
I
worrying.
also feel like you underrate yourself, so I'm gonna think high 30 from you.
I
Okay, well,
definitely
it sounds like it went pretty well, yeah, overall.
Yeah, like I didn't guess on anything. I had like 2 questions that everybody was rambling about, and based on what people have been saying, it seems like I got them right. So I feel
Oh,
okay.
nice. Yeah, because you guys should all prepare answers. You never know, you might end up at the same
Exactly.
yeah.
And the critical thinking was easier this year, in my opinion. So I'm guessing I will get at least 23 out of 25 right. The problem solving was okay, but some of them were like crazy. There was like a binary question that nobody knows the answer to, and like crazy stuff I've never seen before, but it was okay.
Okay, good. I'm glad to hear it. It sounds like it went well for everybody. So, I mean, hopefully a lot of you guys end up getting interviews, smashing the interviews, and then we'll have to all celebrate, you know, like you're almost there, guys, honestly. Just like keep pushing in 2 months. Whilst everybody else is still having to apply for stuff. Like, this is the thing of it, right? You have to submit earlier, but you also get to be free earlier if things go well. So hold on to that and just really focus for the next 4 weeks, I guess, 5 weeks. Ramesh, you said yours was okay as well? Oh, have we lost her? I can't actually hear if you're saying anything, Ramesh, but I'm going to assume you did fairly well. You prepped very well, so I believe in all of you. Okay, right. So hopefully I get to see you guys very soon. I'm going to put up, as I said, another workshop on Monday, and I think I'll do a smaller class for some of you guys on probably the Tuesday or something, just so we can chat a little bit more. I want to check in and see how everybody's doing. Because yeah, I'm invested now. I need to see some of you guys get through and become, well, I mean, none of you are keyboard, but at least some E&Mers, some economics related. So yeah. Should we call it that, or was that a question from somebody?
Just a clap for you and thank you.
Thank you. That's very kind. Yeah. All right, guys. Yeah, thanks for obviously making the time. It was nice to see some of you, and we will see each other very soon anyway. Let me know if you've got any questions, problems, like help with anything. Obviously, like there's loads of people here who are, you know, prepping loads of stuff for you guys. So if there's anything more that we could do, more than happy to get on it. So I think you should be fine if you follow all the stuff that I've been talking about. It is like the most efficient, best plan. So, you know, don't worry too much. I promise you that will be more than enough preparation. If anything, too much preparation, some might call it overkill. But from my experience, you know, I believe in overkill personally. I think just do the 110%, and then when it's 80, it's just like whatever, right? So I mean, I don't mean this to like make myself sound any sort of way, but I did a lot of preparation and I found the interviews quite easy. And I think speaking to other people as well, it was always the same way. So little preparation never hurt. I knew like 60% of the questions that came up. So if you guys can be at that stage, obviously there's nothing to fear, right? Okay, so I'm gonna finish the call off now, and I'm just gonna drop the stuff in for you guys. So yeah, I will see you guys very soon.
Thank you.
No worries. See ya.
Yeah, thanks.